When the rumors first surfaced, most people didn't know what to believe. At 65 years old, Juanita Bynum had already lived several public lives in the eyes of the faith community. She was a preacher, a televangelist, an author, a worship leader, and for many years, a spiritual voice that commanded rooms filled with thousands. But suddenly, her name was trending again, not because of a sermon or a revival, but because of whispered words that carried far more weight than applause. FBI, investigation, federal scrutiny. Words that instantly changed the tone of any conversation. Social media lit up almost overnight. Some people reacted with shock, others with suspicion, and many with a familiar sense of exhaustion that comes when yet another faith leader is pulled into controversy. The question on everyone's mind was the same. What is really going on, and how serious is this situation? Was this just another wave of internet speculation? Or was something far more significant unfolding behind the scenes? For decades, Juanita Bynum has been one of the most visible and polarizing figures in modern ministry. Her rise was meteoric. She preached with passion, spoke with authority, and never shied away from addressing pain, trauma, or spiritual warfare. Her sermons reached millions through television, conferences, books, and music. To her supporters, she was bold, anointed, and fearless. To her critics, she was controversial, confrontational, and sometimes unpredictable. Both sides, however, agreed on one thing: Juanita Bynum was never invisible. As the years passed, her ministry expanded, but so did the questions. Conversations about finances, leadership structure, and accountability followed her almost as closely as her sermons did. At different points in her career, critics raised concerns about spending, fundraising practices, and the blurred line between personal and ministry finances. These questions never fully disappeared, even when public attention shifted elsewhere. They lingered quietly in the background, resurfacing whenever her name returned to the spotlight. Now, according to circulating reports, those long-standing whispers may have escalated into something much more serious. Multiple online sources and commentary channels claim that federal authorities are reviewing aspects of her ministry's financial operations. While no official charges have been publicly confirmed, the very suggestion of FBI involvement has sent shockwaves through the gospel world. For many believers, federal scrutiny of a high-profile ministry leader feels unsettling, even when details are scarce. To understand why this story has captured so much attention, it helps to look at how federal investigations typically begin. They rarely start with dramatic arrests or public announcements. More often, they begin quietly with paperwork, audits, financial reviews, and internal complaints. In cases involving nonprofits or ministries, investigations may be triggered by irregular filings, donor complaints, or concerns raised by insiders who believe funds were not handled appropriately. None of these steps automatically mean guilt, but they do signal that authorities believe questions need answers. Reports suggest that the focus, if an investigation exists, would center on financial transparency, nonprofit compliance, and the handling of donations. These are areas where religious organizations are expected to meet specific legal standards, regardless of spiritual mission or public influence. When ministries manage large sums of money, the expectations for documentation, reporting, and accountability increase significantly. The possibility of federal scrutiny has placed Juanita Bynum under a microscope unlike any she has faced before. Every past controversy is now being reexamined. Old sermons are being replayed. Past financial appeals are being analyzed. Critics are drawing connections, while supporters are urging patience and restraint. The divide is deep, and emotions are high. Inside her ministry, the atmosphere is reportedly tense. Staff members, volunteers, and associates are said to be navigating uncertainty, unsure what the coming weeks or months may bring. When a leader faces potential legal scrutiny, the impact ripples outward. Employees worry about job security. Volunteers worry about the future of programs they care deeply about. Congregants wonder whether the ministry they trusted will survive the storm. Supporters have been vocal as well. Many have taken to social media to defend Juanita Bynum, pointing out that rumors do not equal guilt and that federal investigations often take years to resolve. They remind critics that she has endured public scrutiny before and emerged standing. For them, This moment feels like yet another attempt to tear down a woman who has never fit neatly into anyone's expectations. At the same time, others argue that accountability is not persecution. They believe that if questions exist about finances or governance, they deserve honest answers. For these voices, the conversation is less about personal loyalty and more about integrity within leadership. They see this moment as part of a larger reckoning happening across religious institutions where transparency is no longer optional. The emotional toll of this moment cannot be overstated. For someone who has spent decades preaching strength, resilience, and spiritual authority, facing national speculation about federal investigations is deeply personal. Friends and associates reportedly describe this period as emotionally exhausting. The constant attention, the endless commentary, and the uncertainty of not knowing what will happen next can weigh heavily on anyone, regardless of faith or public confidence. Family members and close associates are also affected. When a public figure faces scrutiny, the pressure extends far beyond the individual. Loved ones must endure public judgment by association, media curiosity, and the emotional burden of defending someone they care about while not fully knowing how the situation will unfold. This kind of stress reshapes daily life in ways outsiders rarely see. Meanwhile, the wider faith community is watching closely. Pastors, ministry leaders, and church administrators understand that what happens next could set a precedent. If federal authorities move forward, it could encourage more oversight of religious organizations nationwide. If no action follows, it may still prompt ministries to reevaluate their financial practices and governance structures to avoid similar scrutiny. This situation also highlights a difficult truth. Spiritual influence does not remove legal responsibility. Faith leaders often hold immense trust, and with that trust comes a responsibility to operate with clarity, accountability, and ethical discipline. When that trust is questioned, even indirectly, the consequences extend beyond one individual to the broader perception of ministry leadership as a whole. Media coverage and online commentary have amplified the stakes. In today's digital landscape, speculation spreads faster than verified information. Videos, live streams, and opinion pieces multiply rapidly, each shaping public perception in real time. For Juanita Bynum, this means that silence can be interpreted as guilt by some, while speaking too soon can create legal complications. It is a delicate balance, one that many leaders struggle to navigate. As of now, many questions remain unanswered. Is there an active federal investigation? Or are authorities simply reviewing information? Will official statements be released? How will her ministry respond publicly? And perhaps most importantly, how will this moment shape her legacy? What is clear is that this story is not just about one individual. It reflects a broader shift in how faith leaders are viewed and evaluated. Transparency, accountability, and ethical leadership are no longer private matters. They are public expectations. Whether this situation results in legal consequences or not, it has already reignited conversations that will not disappear anytime soon. For Juanita Bynum, the road ahead is uncertain. She faces not only legal questions, but emotional, spiritual, and reputational challenges that could redefine her ministry's future. For her supporters, this is a moment to stand firm and pray. For her critics, it is a moment to demand answers. For the faith community as a whole, it is a moment of reflection. And for everyone watching, one truth remains. When faith, power, money, and accountability collide, the fallout is never simple, never quiet, and never without lasting impact. The story is still unfolding, and until clear facts emerge, the conversation will continue, fueled by questions, speculation, and the deep emotions that surround leaders who live their lives in the public eye.